Deep green envy literally starts with a bang and it never lets up. Book 3 of Joy Ribar's Deep Lake series sees our intrepid main character adding sheep farming to her list of accomplishments. Joy brings small town Wisconsin to vibrant life in all her novels by using her own lengthy resume. Welcome to Blackbird Writers Presents Author Interviews. And welcome, Joy. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to me. And I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Well, then let's jump right in. My first question for you is, your main character, Frankie, has her fingers in a lot of pies, including baking. She owns a bakery and wine shop, a vineyard and winery, and she is working on her investigative reporting. How many of these things do you interact with?
Yeah, she's a little bit of a spin-off of me. You know, that we always talk about how it's good to write things that you know well and that you know best. And I have had a number of careers in my life. I learned how to bake since I was a little kid, and I just love baking, just for the sake of baking. My mom taught me how to bake. But I also have a journalism degree, and I worked for a while in the journalism field. I was a newspaper reporter. I was also an editor. I was a stringer for a daily paper. I was a writer and a photographer for a weekly paper. So I know what it's like, and that was in the 1980s. So I know what it's like to be a female in the journalism world that is still kind of occupied by men, and women just are looked at a little differently in journalism than men are. So having Frankie trying to cut her teeth in journalism was something I was very familiar with and comfortable writing about. And as far as wineries go, well, Wisconsin has over 100 wineries. And I do a lot of winery research.
Don't we all?
Yes, exactly. And it's fun when in our travels too. My husband and I will check out wineries everywhere we go. It's so much fun to talk to people who are who make their own wine and grow their own grapes. And I've done a lot of interviews along the way of the people who are always gracious enough to not only talk to you about wine production, but they'll take you back behind the scenes and they'll show you their production equipment facilities, and they'll explain to me how everything works and how they make decisions about what goes into their wines and what kind of grapes they use. And then I've gotten into grape cultivation this year. I even helped harvest grapes at a vineyard that's about a half an hour away, because again, I just wanted to be as authentic as I possibly could with my character. So I think my fingers are in a lot of the same stuff that Frankie's fingers are in.
Well, what is your favorite thing to bake?
I like to bake all kinds of things, but I love to bake cookies, because cookies are, you know, they all have the same basic foundation. You take butter, sugar, flour, and sometimes eggs and sometimes not. But then you can play a lot and come up with different varieties. And I just got done making Christmas cookies, of course, and I always make a ton of Christmas cookies, and then I make Christmas cookie trays and deliver them all over town here. I live in a small town, and it's a really fun gift to give because it feels like a gift of yourself from the heart, because I love to do that kind of baking. But I really like to experiment. So this year I invented a new cookie called Girls Night Out, and it's because it's indulgent, and that's why I called it that. And it will probably show up in my next book as a recipe, but it has crushed up Oreos and broken up Heath bars and dark chocolate chunks and cocoa. So it's a chocolate cookie, but it's got a ton of different layers of flavor in it and a little flake salt. And it's just, it just tastes like a girls' night out together, or girls' chat fest, or whatever.
Yeah, I think you need to mail me some of those.
Yeah, I still have a few left from my Christmas goodies. So yeah, I should do that.
Yeah. That's the wonderful thing about cookies is they're so eminently shareable. You know, it just, you're spreading the joy.
Indeed, I totally agree. Yeah. And that's what's so fun about them. And they always, I mean, if they flop, you're not out a lot of time. You're not out a lot of ingredients. You just chalk it up and put it in the lose column and you move on and you try something different. In the summertime, I make these sugar cookies that are made with lime and basil. And, you know, thinking like, who would put basil in a cookie? Until you try it, you just don't know. And they're phenomenal. They get rave reviews. They're such a nice summer cookie. So it's just every cookies are for every season. So that's what's fun about making cookies.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So Wisconsin, you just said you were from a small town. When I've read two of the three of the Deep Lakes books, and one was Deep Winter, and the other was Summer. Both just make Wisconsin sound like a magical dreamland. I think in the Summer one, in Deep Green Envy, you describe it as a jewel, and your descriptions, I could just visualize it, and it just really does seem wonderful. So my question for you is, what are your favorite things about the area where you are?
I think what I love best, and that I try to really bring out in my writing to share with other people, is that Wisconsin is different in every season, and the seasons are all so colorful, and they all have something wonderful to offer. So I love how Wisconsin life changes season by season, and it changes the people and our personalities. And but we have such a great variety of nature. I mean, we don't have mountains, which I love the mountains very much, but we have these beautiful bluffs and these beautiful limestone carved out cliffs that were carved out by the glacier, and we have a ton of lakes and rivers, and we're on two Great Lakes. So we have two Great Lakes at our borders and the Mississippi River on our western border. So it just makes for a lot of really nice wildlife, as well as just color. When in spring, when everything comes back to life and trees start to blossom, it's just, you know, you can smell spring in Wisconsin, and it's clean and it's fresh and it's fragrant. And then in summer, everything turns green. And I read somewhere that from a historical spot in Wisconsin that had been settled by the Irish, and they said they came here because it reminded them of home, and they must have come during the summer because it is very, very green here in the summer, and we have a lot of woods and we have a lot of hiking trails, and there's just so much beauty to be offered in nature, and so much variety. In the fall, the fall colors are spectacular. So coming here in different seasons, it has it's just such a different picture of the state. But it's changeable and fickle nature is one of the things I really love about being here, as well as people are really friendly here. They're very neighborly and very kind.
Yeah, I've started doing these interviews, and I've interviewed quite a few from Wisconsin, and I'm like, it's talking to somebody from Wisconsin's like a warm hug. It's just everybody is so nice. I love it.
Thank you for saying that, and thank you for saying that you enjoyed the descriptions. I appreciate that, because I really am hoping that people can visualize what it looks like here.
Oh, definitely. Brings it alive. All right. So you have a scene of goat yoga in Deep Green Envy. Have you ever done goat yoga?
I haven't done goat yoga. It is on It's on my list of things I would love to try. I almost feel the same way as Frankie's mother, very reluctant, a little scared, a little worried about, falling flat on my face while if a goat would ever jump on me. I have talked to other people who've tried it, and they said, "Oh, you have to try it." So it's on my to try list, but I added it in because I thought it would be a perfectly humorous scene.
And you succeeded there. It is hilarious. I actually, I am a registered yoga teacher, and whenever I do yoga at home, it turns into pet yoga because both the cat and the dog love the yoga mat. So, I'm like trying to.
Yeah.
Like I don't see why you would invite this in on purpose.
That's so cool though. I also do yoga. I watch the Gaia channel, and I do yoga on that channel just about every morning, and I just do about 20 minutes. But our cat passed away last winter, but he would do the same thing. As soon as he would hear that chime start up, he'd land. He'd, like, wherever he was, he'd launch his way to the mat. And there must be something comforting for animals about yoga. I thought, how cool is it that these animals are tuned in?
Yeah, this is going to be a place. I'm just going to curl up here and purr while you work around me.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
And the purring I actually really like. Sometimes she will she'll get a little excited and start to bite me, which isn't as relaxing.
Yeah, no kidding. And sometimes they just don't want to move. Like, what do you mean? Like, oh, here I am perched right in your V as you're doing a down dog. So make sure you don't have to move out of that V.
Yeah. It becomes down cat.
Yeah.
All righty. So a phrase I have never ever heard, which you said is a phrase everyone in Wisconsin says, is June is dairy month. See, in Phoenix, June is hot. That's all we say. June is hot. So tell me about June is dairy month.
Wisconsin has over 7,000 dairy farms, and in a state that has a little under 6 million people total. I mean, that's a lot of dairy farms. And I think what happens is that the month of June is probably what we would call, the most heavenly month in our calendar year in Wisconsin. It's a beautiful month. Everything has turned green. The weather has turned pretty reliably warm, but not hot. And things have started to bloom, and it's just a beautiful month to celebrate dairy. And I think it's because there are all kinds of dairies across the state do a breakfast on the farm. So it's what they want to offer in June. They want people to come out and see what a farm looks like, and have a spectacular breakfast on the farm, which has to have eggs, it has to have milk, and it has to have cheese, or it isn't a Wisconsin breakfast. 90% of all the milk we make here actually goes into cheese production. So we have 1,300 cheesemakers in Wisconsin, and we're the #1 cheese producing state in the country. So we take the cheese and the dairy very seriously here, but also want to share it. But the best time to do that is June. So throughout the month of June, you're going to see dairy breakfasts all over the state of Wisconsin. And they're right down the road from us. There's a little town that's about 12 miles down the road. They have a dairy parade every year. So that's how serious dairy is. We have dairy days all over the state. There's so many events in June that are centered around dairy. There's a butter festival about an hour away from me. So
there should be.
And there should be, exactly. So I think because dairy is such an important industry here, instead of celebrating it on one day, we have to take an entire month to do it. So that's what I've grown up with. We always have June is dairy month. And like I said, there's just dairy everywhere. Ice cream. There's a couple of creameries that do big ice cream events during the month of June. It just is, it's the time to celebrate it, I guess.
Oh, that sounds like everything you write. That sounds magical.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful and indulgent, and just it's a great month to celebrate life. So celebrating all the good things that come from milk. Ooh, yeah.
Again, sign me up. All right, so I want to go back to your main character, Frankie Champagne, and her conscience is represented by, the devil and angel, except they're fireflies. So which I absolutely love. So what was your inspiration for Goldie and Pirate?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I'm hoping that I'm not the only person with inner voices that are constantly chattering in my ears, because if I am, then I'm crazy. But but my inner voices just sound like different versions of me. And I really wanted Frankie's inner voices to have, again, just a fun, quirky personalities. And it was very easy for me to make the voice of her mother, just because of her relationship with her mom and always wanting to try to live up to being this perfect daughter who could please her mom. So it was really easy for me to make the golden one, her mother, just chattering in her ear, always telling her, what was right and proper. And so I was thinking, like, what is the opposite of that? And why? I don't know. Some creative muse popped into my head and said, I started thinking about Antonio Banderas and this smooth, sultry, dangerous kind of voice that will lure you into temptation. So, hopefully he will forgive me, or never know that I'm using him as the pirate. And again, I thought about why the pirate. I don't know. I don't know if he played a pirate in a movie at one time, but immediately I saw him as in this pirate outfit, and I'm like, oh, of course the naughty voice, the voice of temptation, would have to be a pirate. I don't know, where do those ideas come from? But when they land in your head, you just start nodding and like, I can go with that.
Yeah, well, you have to get them out onto paper.
Yep.
We don't have fireflies in Arizona. I think it's too dry. So I had never, and my husband was born in Michigan, and we were on the East Coast, and he saw something out of his corner of the eye, and he grabbed my hand, and we ran down, and he like just raked his hand through a bush. And the first time I saw a firefly, it was just so amazing.
Aren't they cool? They're very cool. And they inhabit, Wisconsin during the summer months. So it's a sign of the summer season to be in Wisconsin and to see the fireflies, and they're gorgeous. So even though my first book that I wrote took place in the wintertime, I was thinking about, what else would buzz in, what else could be like a little buzz in your ear. And I thought, well, how cool is it for someone to, like, their little light goes on, like, hello, you have to pay attention to me. And I thought, oh, I want them to be fireflies. Why not?
It's perfect. I love it. All right. So what is next for you, Deep Lakes and Frankie?
I am working on the next book of the Deep Lakes series. And because all of my books take place seasonally, this one is going to take place in autumn, so it will be centered around the wine harvest. Or the grape harvest. It's time for harvest season at that point, and there's going to be a whole lot of birding involved, because there will be a bird expert. I mean, it's not going to be much of a giveaway, because in the first couple of pages, the bird expert is going to be the person who is my victim. And so there's a whole lot of birding, which I'm a birder. And so I wanted to kind of bring that in terms of like just some different ideas about why would someone want to murder this person, and how it is centered around the birding culture. So that's going to be kind of a highlight, along with the grape harvest. They're gonna kind of meld together those ideas. And then I have a couple other things outlined, but I also started outlining a brand new series.
Oh,
so I don't know. There's a lot going on. I have a lot of competing ideas in my head right now, and I wish I could be more than one person so I could write two things simultaneously. I know other people do that, but I don't know how to make that work.
Yeah, I have to like, this one isn't a place where I can stop, and now I can do this one over here. But yeah, it's you just jot down those ideas, and I need to focus on one thing. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to navigate that. That's going to be my winter. My winter project. One of the things I absolutely love about being in Wisconsin is that it does get very, very quiet in the winter. There just isn't a lot going on, and it is such a great place to be able to focus just on my own creativity and my own books, and not have to think about there's 50 other things competing for my attention. So that is one of the really nice things about having quiet winter.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you everyone for watching Blackbird Writers Presents Author Interviews.
Thanks, everybody. It's such a fun time. Thank you so much.